Okay, so we have effectively finished our discussion of what happens after the star expires. So next is a new topic. We'll spend some time discussing our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, so here is a nice photograph of what, since the ancient times, people called the Milky Way. Greeks called it a Milky Circle. Romans called it Via Lactea, which is Latin for Milky Way. It is this diffuse band of light across the sky that you can see only if you get far away from the city lights. In the urban areas where there is a lot of so-called light pollution from street lights, apartment buildings, business blocks, this and that, you can't see it. You really need to get far away from city lights to be able to see it on a clear night, of course. So this is what people called for a long, long time the Milky Way. Recently, within maybe last year or so, I have an article that appeared within last year or so on BBC News website, their science section, that biologists have found out that so-called dung beetles use the Milky Way to orient themselves. Okay, people have known, that birds and animals use stars to orient themselves, but never insects. Okay, so basically, what they've established by making the experiments in planetarium, where they could actually artificially change the position of this band, they found out that dung beetles always run along the straight line that is crossing this direction of the Milky Way, right? They never run in the direction of the Milky Way, but always across. And the reason is as follows: when they find a piece of muck, right, and they roll it into the bowl, they want their strategies to get as far away as possible from the place where they found it, right? Because if they come back, they might drop it, and some other dung beetle can actually steal their the fruit of their work. Okay, so the strategy is to run away from the place where they found the pile of dung, right? So they've changed artificially the direction of this band of light on the dome of planetarium, and they indeed always found that the beetles run in the directions that cross this, never along this direction. Okay, so it seems that different forms of life have noticed this. Now, it was Galileo. Those of you who took astronomy 1P01 will recall that one of the observations made by Galileo in 1609, when he pointed the telescope to the sky, he actually realized that this diffuse band of light consists of very many faint stars. And they are faint, presumably, as he assumed correctly, because they are at a great distance from us. And then in 18th century, it was proposed correctly, independently, by two people, by Thomas Wright and the famous German philosopher Immanuel Kant, that basically we see it because we live in a disk of stars. Okay, and the reasoning is something like this. Consider a disk of stars. So imagine that this disk is filled with many, many stars. but there are not many stars outside this disk. So say the observer is located here. Okay, so when you look in the direction of the Milky Way, you look in this direction. You're actually looking along the plane of the disk. And as a result, you see many stars. If you look away from this direction, that means out of the disk of stars, you see less stars. Looking in the direction of the Milky Way, right? And if you do the viewing in that direction, you'll see all of these stars along your cone of vision. On the other hand, when I'm looking in the direction away from this diffuse band of light, say here somewhere, okay, then effectively I'm looking out of the plane of the disk, and I see fewer stars. So it's just like if I'm the observer, and of course you are all very bright stars, and I look in the plane of the stars, and I see many of you, right? I see many stars. But if I look out of the plane, I don't see any. They correctly concluded that the reason we see this diffuse band of light across the sky that Galileo realized is actually, it consists of very many distant stars. They correctly inferred from this that that is because we are living in a disk of stars, and when you look in the direction of the Milky Way, you are looking in the plane of the disk, and you see more stars. But if you look away from the direction of Milky Way, you're effectively looking out of the disk of stars, and you see less stars.